I stood in the shadow of the old oak tree in our backyard, the one that had witnessed every scraped knee and whispered secret of my childhood, feeling the cool autumn breeze whisper through the leaves like a forgotten promise. My name is Alara Voss, and at 25, my life was a quiet tapestry of routine, waking before dawn to help at the family bakery, kneading dough that carried the scent of vanilla and warmth, then slipping into the evening with a book in hand, losing myself in stories of worlds far grander than my small town of Silverwood. But that day, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, a strange unease settled in my chest, like the air before a storm. My sister Lila, the golden child with her effortless grace and laughter that could light up any room, had just announced her engagement to Damian Blackwood, the enigmatic alpha of the local werewolf pack everyone whispered about but few truly knew. He was power personified, with eyes like stormy seas and a presence that commanded silence, yet he'd chosen her over me, who had felt an inexplicable pull toward him since the first time our paths crossed at the Harvest Festival 2 years ago. I'd brushed it off as a crush, but the rejection stung deeper than I admitted, a wound that festered in quiet moments like this. As I traced the bark of the tree, my fingers caught on an odd carving I didn't remember, a crescent moon intertwined with thorns that seemed to pulse faintly under my touch. A shiver ran down my spine, not from the chill, but from a sense that something ancient was stirring, watching me from the edges of my ordinary life. That night, as I lay in bed, the moon's glow filtered through my curtains, casting shadows that danced like restless spirits, and in my dreams a voice called my name, soft and insistent, pulling me toward a destiny I couldn't yet see. The next morning I woke with a start, my heart pounding as if I'd been running through fog-shrouded woods, the remnants of the dream clinging to me like dew. Brushing it off as nothing more than nerves from Lila's news, I headed to the bakery, where the familiar rhythm of measuring flour and stirring batter usually grounded me. But today everything felt off. The dough rose too quickly, as if infused with an energy I couldn't explain, and customers glanced at me with curious eyes, whispering about a glow around me that I dismissed as flour dust. During my lunch break, I wandered to the edge of town, where the forest met the road, and there, amid the rustling leaves, I spotted a lone wolf watching me from the tree-line, its eyes gleaming with an intelligence that sent a thrill through my veins. It didn't approach, but as it turned and vanished into the shadows, a warmth bloomed in my chest, a fleeting sense of connection that made my skin tingle. Back home, Lila chattered excitedly about wedding plans, her joy infectious yet laced with a pang in my heart. Damian had barely acknowledged me at family gatherings, his gaze always sliding past as if I were invisible. That evening, while sorting old family photos in the attic, I found a faded letter tucked in a box, addressed to my grandmother from someone named the Guardian, speaking of a bloodline bond and warnings about the Alpha's choice. The words blurred as a headache bloomed, but the curiosity ignited, leaving me staring at the moon again, wondering if the changes I felt were mere imagination or the first threads of something unraveling my world. It was at the town square's weekly market that I first truly encountered him. Damian Blackwood striding through the crowd like a force of nature, his aura drawing eyes without effort. I was behind our stall, arranging loaves of bread, when his shadow fell over me, and I looked up to meet those piercing eyes, now fixed on me with an intensity that stole my breath. "Alara," he said, my name rolling off his tongue like a secret he'd held too long, though we'd spoken only in passing before. There was no hello, just that magnetic pull, as if invisible strings tugged us closer, making the air hum with unspoken words. He lingered, asking about the bakery's specials, but his questions felt like probes into my soul, stirring emotions I thought I'd buried. Lila appeared then, linking her arm with his, her smile bright, yet I caught a flicker in his expression, a hesitation, perhaps regret, that vanished as quickly as it came. As they walked away, I felt a warmth in my veins like liquid fire, and later that night, alone in my room, I traced the same sensation to a faint mark on my wrist, a silvery crescent that hadn't been there before. It shimmered under the lamplight, evoking a sense of destiny, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Damian's presence had awakened something within me, a connection that defied logic and begged to be explored. Days blurred into a haze as my ordinary routines cracked under the weight of inexplicable shifts. The bakery's oven seemed to respond to my moods, flames leaping higher when frustration bubbled, and animals in the forest no longer shied away but approached with curious tilts of their heads. Dreams intensified, vivid visions of running through moonlit woods on four paws, the wind in my fur, and always Damien's wolf form beside me. Our howls intertwining in harmony. Coincidences piled up. A book on werewolf lore falling open in the library to a page about fated mates. Or finding an old necklace in the attic that matched the carving on the tree, its pendant glowing softly when I held it. Emotionally, I surged between elation and confusion, especially when Lila confided her doubts about the engagement, saying Damien seemed distant, his thoughts elsewhere. One afternoon during a storm that rolled in unannounced, I sought shelter in the old barn, and there amid the thunder, a surge of energy coursed through me, making my vision sharpen, colors vivid as if seeing the world anew. It was then I realized. This wasn't mere fancy. My blood hummed with supernatural power, tied to the pack's legacy, and the rejection that once broke me might be the key to unlocking it all. As the weeks passed, the bond between Damien and me grew in stolen moments, like whispers in the wind that no one else could hear. We'd cross paths at the edge of the forest during my walks, his presence a comforting shadow that made my heart race with a mix of fear and longing. "There's something you need to know," he murmured one evening under the canopy of stars, his voice low and laced with regret, as we sat on a fallen log, the space between us charged with unspoken truths. Trust built slowly through shared glances and gentle gestures. A hand brushing mine as he helped me gather wildflowers, or the way he'd listened to my stories of childhood with a warmth that made me feel seen. Yet confusion lingered. Why had he chosen Lila if this pull existed? His answers were evasive, hinting at pack duties and expectations, but in his eyes, I saw the storm of emotions mirroring my own. Lila noticed the shift, her teasing turning to quiet concern, but the warmth between Damien and me deepened, a pure flame that promised more. It culminated one night when during a full moon gathering, he pulled me aside confessing, "Ilara, fate has woven us together in ways I can't ignore," leaving me breathless with revelation and the tension of what it meant for us all. The revelation came crashing down like a tidal wave on a crisp autumn night, as Damien led me to the pack's sacred clearing, where ancient stones hummed with energy under the moon's gaze. "You're not just human, Ilara," he said, his voice trembling with the weight of secrets long buried. "Your bloodline carries the essence of the first Luna, a vampire-werewolf hybrid that binds packs through destiny. I rejected you to protect you from the dangers, choosing Lila because she seemed safer, untouched by this curse." Heartbreak tore through me as memories flooded. Our grandmother's stories weren't fairy tales but truths, explaining the marks, the dreams, the pull. Beauty intertwined with suspense, the bond was eternal, a supernatural thread that made rejection impossible now. Yet it endangered my family. As he spoke of ancient rivalries between packs and vampire clans that could exploit this, a shocking howl echoed from the woods, a rival alpha sensing the awakening, shifting my perception forever, from victim of rejection to bearer of a powerful legacy. The world tilted into instability as the bond's revelation rippled through my life. Choices loomed. Embrace the power and risk drawing enemies, or deny it and lose the connection to Damien. Love clashed with logic. My heart yearned for him, but danger shadowed every step. Strange figures lurking at town's edges, whispers of vampire scouts. Emotion warred with peril. I faced Lila, tears in her eyes as she learned the truth. Our sisterly bond strained yet unbroken. Damien's world pulled me in, training sessions where I learned to harness subtle shifts, but each victory brought threats closer. Tension built. A decision hung in the air. Align with the pack or flee. Then a note arrived, warning of an impending attack, raising stakes to a fever pitch. Deeper truths emerged in quiet confessions by the fireside, where Damien revealed his own backstory. A childhood marked by loss, his alpha role thrust upon him after his parents' disappearance in a vampire skirmish. "I thought rejecting you would spare you this pain," he admitted, his hand clasping mine in a gesture of vulnerability that deepened our connection. Dialogue flowed heartfelt. "But fate doesn't let go," I whispered, sharing my own hidden fears of inadequacy next to Lila's shine. Discoveries unfolded. The necklace was a talisman, amplifying the bloodline bond, explaining why vampires sought it. Emotions swelled, trust solidified. Yet a twist arrived. Lila confessed she'd felt echoes of the power too, as our bloodline intertwined, turning the story on its head and hooking us further into the web of destiny. Tension rose like a gathering storm as our love was tested. Trust fractured when a vampire envoy approached, offering alliance if I severed the bond with Damien. Internal struggle raged. Destiny's pull versus free choice, hope dimming under threats to the pack. Damien's protectiveness clashed with my growing independence, leading to heated words under the moon. Heartbreak loomed as separation seemed inevitable. A raid on the town forced us apart, danger emotional and palpable yet veiled in shadows. I fled to the forest's heart, alone with fading hope, the bond aching like a wound. The confrontation erupted in the sacred clearing, where rival forces converged. Vampires demanding the Bloodline's power, the pack defending fiercely. Choices crystallized. Sacrifice the bond to save everyone or fight for love. Emotional storms raged. I can't lose you, Damien declared, his voice breaking as we stood back to back against the encroaching shadows. Sacrifices mounted. Lila revealed her own latent abilities, aiding us in a surge of familial strength. Vivid language painted the scene. Hearts pounding, destinies clashing. It ended on a cliffhanger, a binding spell cast, pulling us toward an uncertain fate, emotions at their rawest peak. Everything peaked in an emotional climax amid swirling mists, where truth, love, and fate collided. The ultimate confrontation. Facing the vampire lord who sought to claim my bloodline, forcing a choice between erasing the bond or embracing it fully. Powerful tone enveloped us. Together we rewrite destiny. Damien vowed, our hands linked as power surged. Transformation came, I accepted the hybrid essence shifting partially, strength blooming. Sacrifice lingered. Releasing old resentments, forgiving the rejection. It set up closure, with harmony on the horizon yet earned through tears and resolve. Resolution wrapped every thread in warmth as love triumphed. The bond sealing eternally under a dawn sky. Truth revealed. The rejection was a misguided shield, now replaced by unity. Destiny circled back. Lila found her own path in the pack, our family stronger. Poetic language flowed. Whispers of wind carrying promises, hearts aligned. Damien and I stood at the oak tree, the carving now a symbol of our union. The story closed with a memorable image. A sunrise gilding the leaves, our hands entwined. A final glance promising forever's embrace, leaving peace in its wake.